can stay right here, we will play until somehow you can find a slightly different frame of mind. Right here in my arms, away from all harm, you'll be safe from all the flares, although I know you don't care. Take a deeper breath and give it time. You can walk the path among the lines with your shattered frame of mind, or instead you could always stay play until somehow you can find a slightly better frame of mind. When they say you will fall, you can reach nothing at all. Hide your tracks beneath the rind of a different frame of mind. Is that what you heard? Broken words in the dirt, yelling up into the sun. Here we come, here we come. Here we come, here we come. Here we come, here we come. You can lift your head up to the sky, take a deeper breath and give it time. You can walk the path among the lines with your shattered frame of mind. Or is that you could always stay? We can wait right here and play until somehow you can find a slightly better frame of mind. You can lift your head up to the sky, take a deeper breath and give it time. You can walk the path among the lines with your shattered frame of mind. Or is that
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Learning Fives program. This is week number 1. This is the first show match of the new winter session. My name is Blaster Boy, and I am joined here once again by Octavian, a familiar face from last session for any of you that were around just a few short weeks ago. We're already flying into picks and bands here. Team Professional Penta Penguins versus Team Croque Monsieur. So
Close, Blaster.
close. I'm getting there.
And I'd imagine a lot of these bans are simply going to be targeted bans, either that or just like string one meta picks, which is something that a lot of teams and players may not actually know at this point, since the meta is really in flux given what's been happening at Worlds.
Yeah, every year the meta really hits this state where it's what's really good, because things have been changed for us on live, but Worlds is now 3 patches behind us, so what can we really learn from that? I don't know how good APMF is, support MF is on this current patch, but it's seeing play at Worlds. Anyway, we've flown through the bans already. A lot of standard bans here, a lot of World-based bans, in fact, and then some solo queue sort of bans. Nunu and Zac, and even Yasuo to an extent, are those 3 real solo queue bans. Well, Jay, Cinder, and Kennen have all seen quite a bit of play, if I'm recalling correctly, at least. The Kennen might be a bit more iffy there, and some decent success at the World Championships as well.
Yeah, and I mean, there's not too much you can read into the bans of the first game of the first week of a new split or season or whatever it is. The Learning Fives team chooses to call it here. I am a guest only. Oh man, the hover on the support MF though, unlikely. Yeah. If I had to go and give my professional opinion, it's unlikely we're going to see a support MF tonight unless you tune into the World's broadcast. But Trundle has been locked in. That one's for certain. And I like it as a first pick. It gives you some flexibility. It can go theoretically 3 places. Trundle jungle is something that's a possibility, but top and support are the more confident placements for that champion. And it really doesn't give away very much of your hand to start off with.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, SKT just picked the Trundle in game number 1 versus the Rocks Tigers. They know that they knew that they had a weaker lane matchup with Duke versus Smeb. They just really wanted somebody super safe, somebody that will always have an impact no matter how far behind they get, and Trundle is really that champion. He will always be able to steal your res. He'll always work off of how powerful you are to determine his power level when he ults in fights, and he will always be able to pick up assists with his pillar, with getting in for a few quick hits, with lowering your AD. There's just so many things that he does, but on the other side, we saw Zac banned away. A lot of heavy engage, but the Vi comes through instead, and now that's going to be facing off against a Mumu. These are some really interesting picks. I don't think I've casted either of these champions in Learning 5s yet.
And on the topic of the Vi, I actually really like it picked alongside a Taric because of the doubling mechanic for Taric's skills and the way that Vi can sort of act as a channeling point for yet another stun. It's like having just an extra ability thrown on top of that Vi, provided you've got the synergy between the support and the jungle pick here, and it really helps to just absolutely shut down the enemy AD carry. Pretty much no matter who they pick. Usually against a Vi, you'll often see somebody go Ezreal or Caitlyn or somebody who can keep it a range, get away pretty reliably. But with potential invulnerability and potentially another stun layered on top of all the CC that Vi is going to be throwing your way anyways, whatever AD carry they go with is going to have a rough time here.
Yeah, definitely. And now even more pick potential. There's to follow up on that Vi engage. There's the Jhin to now lock that target down further. And then there's a Talon that can also act as supplemental engage. He can hit everyone, proc them, and set them up for a Jhin W snare. So there's a lot of flexibility. Well, I shouldn't say a lot of flexibility. This comp really just wants to go in, and they need to be able to go in, and they really don't have many other options. If they fall behind, then there's not really going to be a ton that they can do if they're the ones being chased around. But then again, on the opposite side for professional Penta Penguins, it's really the same story, especially if these last two picks come through. There's not really a ton of disengage. They've got Victor for zone control. They have Ashe for a bit of kiting. Now they have Tahm Kench for a bit of safety for either of those two carries. But really, they just want to be going in to an extent.
I was about to say that the Ashe pick seems a little bit on edge to me, since they do have two divers and a Taric to follow up, and then of course the curtain call as well to toss in some extra damage. Not really negligible amounts of it either, but Tahm Kench puts me back at ease a little bit. I don't know. This may be too much engage even for one lonely frog to handle. Yeah, they may just be able to inhibit the ribbit.
Oh man.
Mordekaiser.
So
okay,
very similarly to Alawi. If you want an Alawi to work, by the way, you need a lot of engage. She needs a team comp to enable her because she's a fighter. She does a ton of damage, but she really, really, really lacks in the CC department. Mordekaiser is the exact same thing. He needs a bit less pre-prep than Alawi, but he can snowball similarly as hard, and he works similarly well with supplemental engage, with engage from the rest of his team, with damage from the rest of his team. If he's just picking up last hits and turning people into ghosts, then he can do a lot of work in a fight.
And I have to say that I like picking Mordekaiser against like a really hyper carry focused auto attack centric AD carry like an Ashe. It works absolutely the best against that sort of pick. So it's especially a team that's really only got the two threats. You know, they've got a really solid tank core composition and then high AP burst and high sustained AD damage. It's a really sort of old school team composition, bread and butter. And if Mordekaiser gets rolling or even just manages to get a ghost off, isn't too fed himself, but like Talon is fed and can proc the ghost for him.
Yeah.
That team fight is won already at like the drop of a hat. But the problem is Mordekaiser offers basically nothing else. He's
I mean, that is one of the big benefits of running Mordekaiser, though. Like you said, if somebody is really fed and you get a ghost of them, then suddenly you are in a golden position to still have a shot at winning the fight, if nothing else. You're in a really, really good position, really at best. And Ashe and Victor are two champions that can really go off in fights. Now, what I will say, however, is that running a Mordekaiser comes with a lot of risk. Similarly to Alawi, going to continue drawing these parallels here. Alawi has an issue with being kited really easily. Mord is the same exact way. He has no way to lock you down. He has no mobility going in. if this Ashe is just able to constantly be hitting with volleys over and over, goes like an Essence Reaver build or something, and this Victor gets his Rylai's relatively early, there's a very good chance that this Mordekaiser never even makes it into a fight to be relevant, because he just gets blown up by this really strong 2-carry composition. Yeah, it is only 2 carries. It's kind of out of the ordinary for the current state of the game, especially when you see 3 to 4 on the opposite side. However, these are 2 hyper-scaling carries. These are 2 people that will absolutely go off if they land their spells in the late game.
Yeah, and I think both teams have a pretty solid composition. I'd say that Croque Monsieur have a more like pointed composition. They seem to have more of an idea of exactly what it is they want to accomplish. But Penta Penguins they've just played a very safe ball game here, and they've drafted a comp that has stood the test of time. I mean, they've slotted out different picks here and there, considering the meta. Maybe a few patches ago, you might have seen a Shyvana top instead of a Trundle, but it's a tank top, it's double carry, and then it's a CC jungle and appealing support. Mumu is a little bit odd for the CC jungle choice, and maybe Trundle and Tom Kench might not have seen play a few patches back, but nowadays they're doing just fine.
Yeah, well, all of this said means absolutely nothing if these teams don't deliver on the Rift. We will be right back after this very short musical break to, see how this all pans out in actual gameplay. Don't go anywhere. We will be right back.
You could always stay. We can wait right here and play until somehow you can find a slightly better frame of mind. And when the light comes through, when that day isn't you, then it will be time for a new frame of mind. When all eyes are on you, you will know what to do, since you will have found your new frame of mind. When you lift your head up to the sky, take a deeper breath and give it time. You can walk the path among the lines, but always know that you'll be safe. I'll be here throughout your days. Come find me and we will play.
Paging Blaster Boy. Do we have Blaster Boy on the Summoner's Rift? Paging Blaster Boy. Everything all right over there?
Having a bit of an overlay issue at the moment.
Oh, all right. Well, I'll do my best radio cast for what's going on right now as Universe 7242 is getting stunned up there. The chain is continuing for just about long enough to force him to flash away. And that is the flash down on the Tom Kench support. Penta Penguins coming off one cooldown short in the early game. It was a 5-man stack, by the way, from the opposition. Croque, Monsieur, appropriately enough, sandwiching themselves in the tri-bush on the bottom side. And, of course, getting their just rewards for it, nearly bringing down the frog, but he was quick enough to get out of danger after he smelled it. Do we have you staring at some pretty scenery, Blaster? Or are you still working with an overlay? Wrangling them overlays. Blaster is a professional overlay wrangler. So, fear not. It will be wrangled soon enough. And permanently, I'm sure. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, we have a little bit of trading going on. Totally Not Zereth and Melon tossing out some half-hearted spells at one another, but neither one really landed much. And up on top side, Stars and Carva45 going at it as well as we settle well and truly into the laning phase. The only real casualty being a bit of XP for poor Universe 7242, who did have to base and come back to the lane a little bit late with a health deficit. Oh, the Mordekaiser getting some good damage down, but it is answered by Carve as the top lane is traded about evenly. And the same story in the mid lane between Melon and Totally Not. Oh, all right. I'm getting the order to pause the stream.
Okay, guys. I'm having a bit of an overlay issue real quick. I think I might need to restart OBS. I'm going to try that very briefly, and we will be right back. Please don't go anywhere. Sorry about this.
Give us just a few moments, folks.